Hello, are we on? Oh, YouTube. I can't ever tell if we're starting or not. Hello, I think we're live. This is the Learning About Movies monthly live stream. I am Dr. Professor Josh Matthews. You can just call me Josh. Here's my newsletter. Someone in the chat this is great, asking about the donation page. I am an independent entity. I do this for fun. I do this to inform the world, inform you, and be part of movie watching with you all. So you can get my newsletter. I got it in the description below, and it just comes out once a week at this point. I need to redesign it, but I designed it to have you scroll through it in 10 seconds. That's against the advice of newsletters, which is to make something huge and large and have a lot of material. I could do that. It would take a lot of time, but the donation link, whoever's asking, is down in my newsletter. If you find my newsletter, and I don't know where. Well, it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is, donate. I don't know what that does. That's probably just PayPal. But if you are interested, thank you very much. I really appreciate any contributions anybody wants to give. I'm not asking for them. I'm just saying thank you for those who have done so. And those who just click, watch my stuff, I really appreciate it. Subscribers in this channel are great, well-informed, curious, and seemingly good people. As well, again, plugs, my letterbox page. I have a diary. I sometimes write things about what the movies I'm watching. So you can follow me there, and I have a lot of good interactions over there. I'm enjoying the letterbox experience quite a bit. So newsletter and letterbox. But what we do today in the monthly live stream is we go through what's leaving some of these channels. So what's leaving Netflix. I like the Criterion Channel. They do not sponsor me. What's leaving the Criterion Channel. These are ways, one, for us to talk about recommendations, and two, to whittle down the millions of choices about what to watch. I don't know if you're like me, but I sit down, try to turn on these streaming services. I'm like, what do I watch? And then I end up surfing them for 20 minutes and getting overwhelmed by all the choices. Because there's so many great choices in movie history, and they're all sitting right before us on all the streaming services. Man, this is tough. So looking at what's leaving these channels helps us whittle it down, in my opinion. Also gives us just a list of movies to look at. I wanted to mention, by the way, so I am reviewing newer movies. I do this on the channel. Partly it pays the bills because people click on the new. They're not necessarily searching for the old, but they're looking for the new. And so I am reviewing things. And boy, these reviews lately have been... I only wish you were privy to my comments section. You can't look at it across the whole channel, but you guys know what it's like to surf YouTube and look at some awful comments. I'm getting a lot of those lately. People like the movie The Last Duel a lot. I did not. I thought it was philosophically shallow. That's going to get me in trouble, but I don't care. That's one great thing about subscribing to me. I just don't care what other people think. I mean, I really genuinely don't care what anybody thinks. I know what I like, so you're getting everything filtered through my taste, which is partly based on my education. I read a lot of books, or I have over the last 25 years or so. So yeah, I didn't like The Last Duel. I thought it was shallow. You might like the look of it. I mean, all of the movies coming out today really look good and sound quite good. I just did this. I mean, I don't like Godzilla vs. Kong, but on Twitter, I just did a tweet storm today about how great this movie looks. I just watched it with my kids. I have a kid in my house who loves Kong, who loves Godzilla. He's seen 20 movies, and finally he just got to watch this new Godzilla Kong for the first time. It's always fun to watch these movies, even if they're terrible with kids, and this movie just looks outstanding. It really looks great. There's some CGI stuff in it that may look a little hokey, and in fact, in 20 years, this may not look that great. But the advances in the last 60 years in movie technology, just the visuals and the sound, is unbelievable. Art is taking a gigantic leap forward in the last 60 years. So I do like these movies, even if I say they're not that great. I just usually think they're a little shallow. They're illogical. They make stupid points. They're bending to the zeitgeist. So I didn't like Dune that much, although my problem with Dune is, well, it was only half a movie. You know, it was part one, and we didn't get part 2, and I thought part 1 ended quite anticlimactically and not that interestingly. So I'm interested in part 2, and let's put the whole thing together. So Dune wasn't so great either. Anyway, my letterbox page, there you go. I'm not one to praise things I don't like and pander, so that's me. Let's take a look at what's leaving. First of all, actually, we'll do what's leaving Netflix. I do not love Netflix. I think they produce a lot of mediocre to poor material. However, Netflix is the most gigantic movie curation service that there is. Amazon Prime is another one. How many millions of people subscribe to this thing? And so, we deal with the beasts that are in our lives. In Netflix, I mean, I'm looking at this going, well, there's some stuff I don't know and don't like. Scrolling down, though, I mean, this is really helpful. I love this TV show Broadchurch. This is an English show. Actually, I really like season 1, even though it's quite dark. Great setting here, great camera work, great acting. Seasons 2 and 3 get to be a little lame to me, I thought, or actually didn't need to happen. But I understand why they did. So, although I don't talk about TV shows on this channel. They're part of the whole video genre, and TV shows, as you know, and movies are sort of ping-ponging back and forth, influencing each other in the last 30 to 50 years. I really like this show, and it's leaving November 26th, so season 1 at least is worth checking out for sure. For cinematic reasons alone. Also, Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth, a contender, and I love terrible movies. I don't know about you, but I just love them. I love them because they're so bad, and they seem like they're impossible to make. I mean, who could make if you tried to make a bad movie, you couldn't make them this bad. That's Battlefield Earth, starring John Travolta. Came out when I was in high school. Roger Ebert's movie review of Battlefield Earth is unbelievably awesome. I've read that out loud to my wife a couple times. Just cackle at it. And this movie, you get a bunch of friends together and you make fun of it. Because that is how to watch it, and it will be delightful if you do it that way. If you watch it by yourself, or if you're watching it for super serious reasons, it won't work. But Battlefield Earth is a classic of bad movies. I can't think of a movie that came out in the last 15 years that is as bad as that. Maybe I've just missed the really bad ones. I heard the Emoji Movie was absolutely terrible, but this one, man. I like Clear and Present Danger. That's a Tom Clancy movie with Harrison Ford. And don't say it's great, I just like it. I'm looking at the rest of these. Waterworld's one of those classic 1990s flops. I think it was the most expensive movie ever made. Kevin Costner's in a post-apocalyptic world where the oceans have risen. I think everything's all water in that world. I forget exactly, but I should try that again just to see what it was like. 90s blockbusters, early 90s blockbusters. So there's some crap for you. If you want to watch crap, which sometimes is delightful, don't get me wrong. But on to Criterion Channel, which I love for a lot of reasons. It's got all kinds of great stuff, and I'm noticing I've seen a couple of these noir movies. There's Point Blank here, okay. Across 110th Street, not bad. Pelham 123. Okay. Billy Wilder. Now, Billy Wilder, there was a collection of his movies. He's the director, famous American director. And Stalag 17 is a classic prison camp movie. In fact, I vividly remember watching this movie with my children. I don't remember why I watched it with them, but they were 10 years old or so. They really liked this movie. I do not know why. I mean, I don't know what was attractive about it, but this is the predecessor to the goofy and troubling TV show Hogan's Heroes, a comedy set in a prison camp. And this one has a classic William Holden performance. So I'm going to recommend a couple of Billy Wilder movies as we go here, because I think some of the collection is disappearing from Criterion. The Kaurismäki Now, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this. This is a Finnish name, and I do not know Finnish. But I really like this director a lot. If you haven't seen his movies, they are very dry, occasionally really funny, very serious. It's like if Bergman and Bresson got funny. I mean, they don't have there's almost no humor in Ingmar Bergman and Robert Bresson. But Mackie, his are fun sometimes. I don't love all of his movies, but I really like his vision. He's a Finnish director, Finland, and I'm going to watch all of his movies. So I have not seen this one, but I will. I will watch that before the month is out. I'm scrolling down here looking at these. I've not seen Clute. Is that a classic? Do you guys like it? I've not seen it. 70s Jane Fonda. But let me know if this is good. I'll watch it for sure. I know that's in the Criterion collection, as in there's a disc of it at some point. I would probably watch this Todd Haynes movie. I like his Safe. His movie Safe. So that I will probably watch. I like this Kaurismäki movie a lot. I just watched it a couple days ago. Really good. Now here's a couple of classics. One is The Apartment. Those of you who have not seen The Apartment must know that it's on. This is just for those movie history buffs and those people who are into lists. The Apartment ends up on a lot of top 100, top 200 lists. Greatest American movies. I'm pretty sure the American Film Institute has it way up there on the list. You will have to decide if you like it or not. It's got a very cynical, dark edge to it. And, the classic Jack Lemmon performance here about American business, working your way up. It really is a very interesting movie to analyze in terms of its time and what it's saying about the business world, New York City. And so The Apartment, it's one of those, if you're a movie lover, you have to watch, even if you end up not liking it. I'm pretty sure I don't like this movie as much as most people. However, what am I going to do? It's a classic according to everybody else. So it's worth watching classics according to everybody else to see what the masses say, or to see what the people who make lists say. On the other hand, I love this movie, which I think is underrated. Thief. I've talked about this on the channel. I don't need to say much more, but I did a tweet storm on it. I got a video coming out in a month on it. Michael Mann's first movie. Fabulous looking movie. Love the score to this movie by Tangerine Dream as well. Probably I will watch Sabrina with my wife. I know she's seen it. She's seen the remake with Harrison Ford and whoever else is in it. But yeah, sort of a classic date movie, isn't it? I'm going to watch it, I'm sure, again. Another Billy Wilder movie. By the way, if any of you, I'm scrolling down, see movies on here that you think need a shout out, comments. Please put them in the comments. And if you're just watching this, I talk here, you may get something from me, but the comments section here is usually invaluable. Very smart people showing up here. This is a very weird movie. Cotton Comes to Harlem. They classify it as noir. It feels like the Blues Brothers ripped it off. It's very serious. It's got a lot of weird humor in it. I think it's classified as blaxploitation, although I don't think that existed in 1970. So that's worth looking at if you're into just about anything. The depiction of crime in New York City, that is, I think, in the Criterion New York City collection. There's a lot of great stuff here, and I think some of the New York City collection is disappearing, as in After Hours. This is one of my favorites from Scorsese. And After Hours is I mentioned on the channel a few times, I've got a video on it. So forgive me for talking about it again and again, but I love the tone of this movie. It's quirky and weird. It's a dark weird. It feels like a fantasy world, even though it's highly realistic. It's taking place in New York City, and everything that it's in the frame could be there right now or in 1986 or 85. Nevertheless, it feels like an Alice in Wonderland Fantasyland. So it's kind of Tim Burton-ish before Tim Burton, but that doesn't even describe it at all. And for Scorsese to veer into this territory, to me, is really interesting. Those of you who are Scorsese scholars or lovers, please tell us what this movie has to do with The Last Temptation of Christ, which I believe he made Last Temptation right after After Hours. I mean, it was his next movie. I could be wrong about that. It could be that pool playing movie, what Color of Money. But these two movies are pretty close together, and it's think about how diverse Scorsese is in terms of his choices. To the public, probably they think of him as a gangster or mobster movie maker, and certainly he's made several of those. But he's got a lot of wild or different movies, and this is his attempt at very quirky, dark humor and a little touch of fantasy, which I really like. I wish he would do this again, because he could do it now in the aftermath of the coronavirus pandemic. New York City is a very weird, maybe post-apocalyptic landscape. That would be interesting from him to see what his 21st century or 2021 version of New York City would be to him. I've got Night of the Iguana on my list. I've not seen it. An Affair to Remember is a classic. Do the Right Thing is a classic. That's another one of those, like The Apartment. You should watch Do the Right Thing even if you end up hating it. This should still, I think, inspire video makers. If you are making videos, Do the Right Thing, to me, is essential, because you have, in that movie, a lot of fourth wall breaking. The character looks at the camera, like I'm doing now, and it really is very striking and shocking, as it was supposed to be. And I love the way he uses that technique in this movie, Spike Lee. It's one of his classics, obviously, and I guess it's still a relevant movie. I do like A Cat in Paris as well as a kids' movie. And what was wonderful about Criterion Channel is they have matinees. They label them as Saturday matinees, and then A Cat in Paris. I don't know if A Cat in Paris is one of them, but they're for kids or for families. But they're still like not standard family movies. I mean, if you go to HBO Max and look at the family fare, it's a lot of bright, colorful Disney-fied stuff. And, maybe it's Pixar, maybe it's DreamWorks. They usually on Criterion Channel pick something very different than that as their kids or family movies. So this is a good one. Who doesn't like cats in Paris? I don't know. On the heels of Ratatouille. So, anybody seen Little Murders? Now I'm looking at that. It looks quite interesting. Alan Arkin directs it, and look at that cover. That's sucking me in. Oh, there's another classic Billy Wilder movie, obviously in the top 100 list, Sunset Boulevard. People love that movie. It's one you have to have watched. So your assignment then, if you're a movie lover but haven't seen too many of these, is The Apartment, Do the Right Thing, Sunset Boulevard, After Hours. That's 4 movies, one each weekend. You sort of get a decent, at least American film education there. But I would love to hear what else you think is worth looking at. So, there we go. And then we can look at, there's the November releases. I'm not in love with what's coming out in November in movie theaters. All right, so now those are your recommendations. Check out the channel for more stuff. I'm going to mosey on over the comments and read what you guys have to say, because it always wildly entertains me. In fact, to have enthusiastic people who like me. I don't need to be liked, not that much, but it's always good to see what you write. Love your channel. Thank you, Anita. I appreciate that. Hello, Alan. Hello, Ed, Dominic. Lots of great people here who I see on a regular basis. So, my favorite David Lynch movie, yours is Eraserhead. Well, probably The Elephant Man, because I think that's his mix of populist and weird fare. I can show that to a class of students, and they'll all, not all, but most of them, how could you not feel something for The Elephant Man? Somehow Lynch delivers, but I should say something super weird. I do like The Straight Story a lot. I've mentioned that on this channel. The guy drives across the state of Iowa on a lawnmower. And it's rated G. I think that may hurt it, actually. It's rated G. But, Lynch is... I need to reassess him. I need to rewatch a couple of his movies and really think hard about what he's doing. Some of the movies I've been put off by or thought were too simple, but yet I should rewatch them. So that's a great director project. Yeah. Awesome movie by Ridley Scott, The Duelists. Yeah, that's his first. So Ridley Scott did The Last Duel recently, and his first movie was The Duelists. And I wonder if he's just going to retire, right? Because he did a duel movie, and then he did another duel movie, and that should be it. It's like bookended your career with duels. Probably not, but he'll probably keep working forever. Live action Mulan. Oh, is that on Netflix? Mulan and Snake Eyes. Pineapple Express. Yeah. You're wowed by Billy Wilder's Apartment. So let's look at Billy Wilder's filmography. I get occasionally someone asking me to do a Billy Wilder video. And what that would take is about 50 hours worth of work. So I'm always like, it's a big project. My Bergman project lasted 6 months. All the Bergman videos on my channel come from about 6 months of watching him chronologically. Let me pull this up for you here. Billy Wilder as director. And, you know, people know his movies. Double Indemnity, Sunset Boulevard, probably Sabrina, Some Like It Hot, The Apartment. Right? Those are the 5 or 6. But when I look at these, I go, I probably love more than those other ones, his movie Ace in the Hole, which is as fresh as any movie I've seen from 1950, whatever. Great movie about journalism in the modern day, journalism as business, which a lesson we've all learned recently, but he knew it in 1951. Orwell knew it in 1948 or before then. To criticize business for what it does as far as its influences and how it shapes people's brains and all brainwashes and all that. And its amorality. I actually really like this movie just as a fun movie. It's about Charles Lindbergh's flight across the Atlantic starring Jimmy Stewart. Spirit of St. Louis is very good. Maybe underrated. I can't say it's better than anything I've just mentioned, but I like that movie quite a bit. And then, I'm trying to remember it, but Witness for the Prosecution is pretty good as well, if I remember correctly. They had Charles Lawton, Tyrone Power, Marlene... Yeah, I should rewatch this. In fact, that's a pretty high rating for IMDb for a classic movie. So you look at Wilder's filmography, it's this one famous movie after the other. It's quite a remarkable career. And that's not even talking about his later efforts, like Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I like that movie. I like Sherlock Holmes, though, so there you go. So anyway, that he's worth pursuing, but to see if... The one question I have is, what do all these films have in common? Is there an auteur-like vision here? Are there overlapping threads or thematic concerns, subject matters he's talking about repeatedly? I don't know. And I'm not a Wilder scholar, so I have no clue. And I'd have to watch a lot of his movies. That's really good, though. Those of you mentioning Wilder. Yeah, okay. So I'm reading a comment from someone from India. I would just love someone to give me the top 20 movies from India. You guys know I love Satyajit Ray. I love him. I love his vision, his directing. It speaks to me, even though I was born on the other side of the world and I'm never visited India. But I love his movies. Ray is R-A-Y. He's fabulous. But my question is, I've never gotten into Indian films, and so that is what I'm lacking, because India has its own movie industry that's been humongous, and a lot of people on this channel, a decent amount, maybe up to 10% of viewers are from India, which is amazing to me. So I'm just curious, like, what are the 20 Indian movies I need to watch? I've noticed a couple channels go in that direction where they are making more movies about India movies, in part to get some followers and subscribers, but also in part because it's a key part of movie history that those of us in the United States don't know much about, if anything. So send me your top 20 list. You can find my email or something. Contact me. Yeah, those of you now, you're talking in the comments about Wilder. So there you go. The Apartment, yeah. Just reading your comments. Those of you like the soundtracks. I was sort of blown away by, After Hours has a great soundtrack. I love Howard Shore. Now, Howard Shore, once he gets into the orchestral, classical vein that, the typical Hollywood blockbusters do, I'm not that big of a fan of that Howard Shore era. With Lord of the Rings, for example, it's all fine. It's great. I just love synth and electronic music more. I like jazz. I like other things that are not classical. Classical music's fine, but Howard Shore in the 1980s was working with David Cronenberg and with Scorsese a couple times. So that's when I really like Howard Shore. And Thief has a great soundtrack. So that whole era of synth music, and it hasn't died. A lot of great stuff, including Uncut Gems, a movie I liked quite a bit, but a lot of that was because of the soundtrack. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, okay. So someone says this. Been working through all the John Ford movies. So this is one of the things I opened the live stream. I said some of the comments on this channel. For some reasons, my video on the searchers, it didn't quite get attacked. It mostly got some group out there in the world got a hold of the video and wanted to just comment on it and say it's not PC, it is inherently racist, it is evil in some shape or form like that. That's all fine. They didn't take into consideration historical context at all when they said that, as if John Ford was going to make a movie that would adhere to 2021 standards of political correctness and morality. So that always bothers me when the director is trashed for that. Now, there could be outright hate or immorality that the director is, or the movie is promoting. Fine, complain about that. But everybody knows who studied John Ford. He evolved and he was actively trying to be as sympathetic as he could as time went on to Native concerns, as was the case to the cultural zeitgeist as we go from the 1940s to the 70s, which is sort of his career span. So one of my favorite John Ford movies, My Darling Clementine, is a wonderful looking movie and I really like that movie a lot. Now it has Henry Ford as Wyatt Earp, so it's a Wyatt Earp movie. My Darling Clementine, look that one up. The Searchers and Stagecoach, there's a lot of great ones. So I should do a John Ford filmography and John Ford great director thing eventually. Yeah. The Coen brothers are bringing out Macbeth, so that may save the year 2021 for us. Yeah. We'll see about that. I don't know. Yeah, John Ford is not woke. Now, that's interesting because when you look at these movies like Ace in the Hole, that's a liberal critique of business, of media business. By liberal, I don't mean would vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I mean that it is a pro lower class, pro maybe slightly anti-business, maybe pro-government to some extent movie. But that critique now works really well, especially in the United States in the right wing, which doesn't like the media much, and in the left wing, during the Iraq War, hated the American media. This is propagating war. I mean, Ace in the Hole is almost a universal movie, is what I'm saying. And so sometimes you get these movies by directors who they had political intentions, political views, but then their messages end up being more open-ended or applying in different circumstances that had nothing to do with their particular politics of the day. So Ford looks like he is just a right-wing nut job or something to people today, the way that the Indians, for example, are portrayed, or women are portrayed in his Westerns. Well, what you have to do is look at what Westerns were saying in 1955, and where did the Searchers fit in with those Westerns? Was it even possible then to portray Indians as fully fledged human beings who were as active and as complex as the European characters? I think the answer is no to that, at least in terms of American mainstream entertainment. If the answer is no to that, then The Searchers is somewhat advanced for its time. Whether that should be praised or blamed is up to you, but in terms of historical analysis, you'd have to compare it to what's coming out around it. And you could say that he was woke for 1955. That's what I'm trying to get at. But he appears to be completely the opposite today because some moral standards have changed and ways we depict things have changed. So that's an interesting comment. He's not woke. Which I will say for the Westerns back then, they, and the hard-edged ones like The Searchers, they will not shy away from portraying violence. Violence and nature, I honestly don't know how woke people deal with violence in nature. I mean, at its core, there's killing is part of nature. So I don't know how that, and defending oneself through violence or something like that. So I don't know about Ford being woke. This is all great. I love these. These are great. Actually, more people are here than ever, which is really great. Oh yeah, How Green Was My Valley. That's right. That's a good Ford movie too, and Ford is conservative, family, country, and language. He did that in the Quiet Man to some extent, didn't he? Yeah, that's probably a good connecting thread through Ford. Family, country, language. Is that for the national, for the U.S. as a nation, or I don't know. Yeah. A Chinese film, Battle at Changjin. Is that the one where the Americans are the bad guys? I have heard of this movie, and I am dying to see it. I have never... God, I gotta think about this. Have I ever seen American soldiers portrayed like Nazis in American war films? Have you ever seen that? Now, maybe I've just seen too many American movies, and that's all I've digested. And there's been a lot of foreign films where the Americans are the really nasty bad guys, the kind who would eat children or something like that. I mean, Nazis in American war movies are so hideously evil, they will do anything, and they're worse than Darth Vader and the Empire and Star Wars. So I'm under the impression that the Chinese are now doing this in their movies. For whatever reason, I think maybe the nation is funding it or the Chinese government is funding it. But I would be interested in seeing it just for that reason. Not that I want to see Americans portrayed as bad guys. I am a curious lover of film who I want to see how that would look, because I can't conceive of it because I've almost never seen it. You do see these war movies where the Americans are the bad guys even though they're the main characters. Some like Vietnam War movies, obviously. Apocalypse Now, where there's, in Apocalypse Now, the Robert Duvall character is a bad guy, but really not, because you're not seeing the other side as the good guys. You're just seeing the one side, and then the other side just running around, and they don't feature them as characters. So I would love to see that. The movie is as good as Saving Private Ryan? What? I have a hard time with this. Now, let me know where I can stream this. I don't know if I can stream it, but I will watch it. Maybe I'll review it. Soldier Blue is another one. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'll check that out. Thank you. Yeah, love analysis on Knight of Cups. Thank you very much. I'm going to do Malik next. I think, in fact... So, I've got the whole stack of Malik here, I think. I got Thin Red Line. I got to do Thin Red Line. And then I got to get to Hidden Life. And that's my next project, is to... I've rewatched most of Malik recently. I just have to get to Hidden Life, and then I'll be complete. And then I can do a director video on him and get him out of my system. Those of you who have been in this channel know I like Malik. Yeah, you watch Tree of Life. Yeah. The one I recommend is Thin Red Line, although Days of Heaven as well, because they both have a little bit more plot than Tree of Life, which is a hard movie to get into for sure for most people I know. Yeah. I just missed something here. There's a lot of Chinese movies being recommended here. Have I seen Hoop Dreams? Of course. No one on this channel knows, but I love basketball. I'm from Indiana, and I played basketball just as a hobby, and I love basketball. Now, I haven't watched it much recently, but yes, of course I've seen Hoop Dreams. It's been a long time, though, so I don't remember it, and I would be interested to see it as a documentary again, not to watch it for the basketball, but for the documentarian aspects of it. I wonder how it's aged, Hoop Dreams, because it was lauded when it came out. Those of you who are not old enough do not remember, like, that was the movie to watch. If you were into art house movies, that's a great documentary. Was it 1992? Something like that? Yeah. So anyway. Oh! Alright, I have only a couple more minutes. Someone asked, do I have a series on Hal Ashby? Haha. Okay, this is my problem with this channel. 270 videos now, and I don't have a good way to organize it. So, I have a video on Ashby. Have you not seen that? If you go to the search bar on my channel and type in Hal Ashby, you should find it. Alright? And then, I don't have a good organizational way of showing you all my videos. I have this is my website, which I need to revamp. Oh no. Let me pull this up all the way here. Let me get this up. And then I have there, if you go to my website and look at this thing, you will see a list. And the list has, this is the only place I'm keeping everything. So a list of great movie videos. The long series, What Makes This Movie Great, they're all sitting on here. But you can't really search through this for Hal Ashby. So you're just going to have to scroll down. What I want is to, and I need to get a graphic designer or do this myself, have a little box or a movie poster and lay them all out on this page, maybe by chronological order, and show you all the movies I've done videos on. The ones at the bottom I haven't released, so I haven't quite released Mishima yet. That'll come out eventually, and I've done videos on these movies. Also, my Forgotten Classics series. But if you want to know what I've done, there's some there. Maybe half the videos I've done are sitting there. So whoever asked about Hal Ashby, yes. I can't remember what Ashby movies I have talked about. My problem is I'm struggling to remember what I want to do and what I have done. I want to do The Last Detail. I want to do Shampoo. Did I do Being There? Dang, so this is where my memory fails me. That's why I need to look at my page and have much more organized page. So if you don't know if I made a video, you can just send me a comment or something. Post a comment on any video, I'll see it. I'll let you know if I've got a video on that. I love requests. One of the most popular requests so far has been a director. I have not seen maybe 2 of his movies, and I don't dare say his name because he's probably going to hurt me. Michael Haneke. I don't know how to say that. I've never heard anybody say that. Haneke. That has been the most popular request on the channel in the last 6 months. Why? I do not know. So there you go. I probably will pursue him to some extent. But if you have any questions about what I've made and are interested in telling me what I should make, I love that stuff. Just drop me a comment. I love recommendations. This video gives you recommendations, but you guys give me great ones, so I will check out what you send me. Anyway, thank you everybody for participating. Watch the channel. Like, subscribe, whatever, newsletter, letterbox, and all that. God bless you. See you next month when we get to December.